Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today is the update for the month of February for my Panda palette roulette. If you don't know, this year I'm not focusing on one palette trying to use it up, but I would prefer to kind of move it around because last year I did a Panda palette and it kind of got boring to me. And I don't want to quit this year, so I've decided to do Panda palette roulette. So I can roll in new palettes if I feel like something isn't sparking my interest anymore. So this is going to be the February update, and I'm going to start with the palette that is pre-made, and that is my Beauty Bay Midnight palette. This has a lot of blue and purple tones. I could show you the before, but honestly, it doesn't really matter because I barely touched this. Unfortunately, I'm now realizing that this just doesn't speak to me anymore. I've tried my best. I have completed No Pan Left Behind. So I did last time only need to use these two shadows, and I did a look with blue for a party and it was winter themed, so that was perfect. So I used those two blues. I have dipped into this lilac a couple of times, but honestly it's not going to be more than 5 uses over this entire month, and the rest of the palette is untouched. So that is definitely an indication for me that it is time to roll this out and to consider if I want to keep this in my collection or not. I might bring it back at the end of the year in winter time, see if maybe then I want to play with this. But for now, it is leaving. And I'm very much thinking about what I want to do, if I want to roll in another like pre-made palette. I'm definitely going to roll in some more singles. So I'm thinking of filming a build your own palette for Panda palette and then leave it at that. Maybe I'll build 2 palettes with singles, but there's not really any pre-made palettes right now that are sparking my interest that I really want to work on. So I think I'm gonna leave it at a singles palette. So speaking of singles palette, I made my own. And I was working on that as well, and I'm gonna show you a before photo of that so that you know what it looked like last month. And here it is today. Now, a lot has changed. So this palette with singles, I dropped it. I dropped it a day after filming the last update, and I lost 3 shadows out of that palette. So there was I'm gonna just put up the photo and go over them. So I lost the purple, that's the first shadow that you see. That was a GlamShop purple out of another palette that I depotted. That completely broke. On the second row, the darkest brown, that was a repressed shadow from my Nabla Dreamy palette. It was already cracking and shattering. That completely broke. And then on the bottom row, the lightest shimmer, the champagne shimmer, that comes from my Colourpop Nude Mood palette. That also completely fell out of the pan. And like, it fell on the floor. They all mixed together. My cat was in it right away, so I could not save anything. Those 3 shades are gone. Now I did try to kind of get the same feel back into the palette. This one I did need to repress again into the pan because it had kind of cracked, so that pan is gone, and I lost a bit of this shadow, which honestly is a shame because it's one of my favorites. So yeah, I put this purple back into this palette. This is a GlamShop purple. It has no name, I'm sorry. This is roasted coffee from GlamShop. I put that in instead of the dark brown Nabla shade. And then I also put in this purple from Nabla because I was like, maybe I'll use that together with this purple. Honestly, I didn't use the purples at all this month, but I just thought, you know what, I'm stick them in and see what happens. So yeah, that was a day after filming my update. And so I worked on this palette for the rest of the month. So I'll go over all of the uses. I did not really track it greatly. I will do better next month, I promise. But I'll go off of the photo of last month. So this shadow right here, I still use every day to set my primer. And you can see that pan is expanding steadily. So I'm happy about that. Then next to that is the, what is this, transition shade from Colourpop. I'm still using this. There is some disturbance in the pan, but not a lot. The gold I did not use. This shadow I did not use. This one was, I don't want to say brand new, but there wasn't a dip like this in here. I've used that about 10 times. So I'm really liking that one. The purple I did not use. This blue I actually hit pan on it. I don't know if you can tell. It's right there in the middle, but it's very similar to the flaky blue shadow. So I used that about 3 times. This shade I've used about once or twice. This purple I did not use. This I also used about 2 to 3 times. And then this I did not use too. So again, for this palette, it is time that I'm changing it up. There's a lot of shades in here that I've barely touched. I just want to make a new palette, build a new palette, and work on that going forward to see if I can get some more use out of my Panda palette. So I'm gonna build a new palette. I want to film that process. And then I will insert a photo right here of what my palette has become that I'm working on. If I'm adding a pre-made palette to this mix, I will also insert a photo of that. But at this point, I just want to build that palette and see if there's anything that I'm missing, if there's anything in my collection that I want to add to work on. But I think it's gonna just be a palette full of singles. But that being said, here's a photo of the palette or the palettes that I'm gonna be working on for who knows what period of time until I get bored of them. I hope that you guys are okay with this format. I know it's very satisfying to see someone pan a palette to completion, like see that the shades get used up. And a part of me wants to do that because it is satisfying. I love it, but I just don't have the attention span to do that right now. Like, I feel like I could do it, but I know if I'm doing it in about 2 or 3 months, I'm gonna be bored. So I don't want that. We're gonna stick with this. I hope you still enjoy this series, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in one of my next videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.